The analysts predicted 2022 would be a big year for silver. They couldn't have been more wrong. We'll go over where they thought silver would be and some reasons why it went down instead of up, so stay tuned. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another edition of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. And as always, I'd like to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to check out the new video. And if you like what you see here and you want to support the channel, then why not take a jab at that thumbs up button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. You guys know how much I appreciate the support. And also, click on that bell so you'll be notified when a new video drops. Alright, we all know that analysts were predicting big things for silver in 2022. And for a minute, it looked like they might be right when silver peaked at $26.62 an ounce on March 8th. Then, well, it was followed by a steady decline with a couple of peaks in between, but going down nonetheless. It bottomed out at $17.85 an ounce on September 1st, and, well, it's steadily charted between 19 and 20 since then. Needless to say, a lot of analysts expected silver to be at much higher prices by now, and they figured, as most of us did, that the next silver spike would take place when inflation spiked. But lo and behold, it did the exact opposite. And this has most of us asking ourselves, is silver ever going to take off, or should we just give up on it? Well, Senior Analyst Jeff Clark recently spoke at the Silver Symposium, and, well, he had three key takeaways from his presentation. Now, the following presentation is based on Jeff's words, not mine. He and his buddy Mike Maloney have often been accused of just being silver shills, and I don't necessarily agree with everything he's saying, but I did find his thought process to be pretty interesting. So we're going to go over them really quickly, and be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know how much we cover in this video could actually come to fruition. I'd love to hear your input. All right, so the 3 points of contention from Jeff were realistic from his point of view, and he was still staying true to his analyst background by staying bullish on silver's future. And here are those 3 points. Number 1, silver's DNA is boring. Boring. Boom. Jeff says if you study silver's price behavior over the past 50 plus years, you'll see a clear pattern. Silver has long periods of dormant price behavior punctuated by sudden and frequently explosive spikes. In many cases throughout history, the price remains stubbornly weak, sounds familiar, during what were supposed to be major catalysts. And yet, in every instance in history, the price was coiling and sooner or later led to another spike. And something else was evident. The time between silver spikes was measured in years. And if you look at the bottom of the chart, you'll see the average is 3 years and 7 months between spikes. But if you take away the two bear markets, which were 1980 to 1986 and 87 to 93, the actual average drops to 2 years and 7 months. But in my opinion, you just can't take those bear markets away to make your point. That's still a part of it. Anyway, the last silver spike ended almost 2 years ago, and based strictly on historical averages and the chart's last date of 2020, 2023 could have the potential to be an interesting year for silver. Jeff actually thinks these stats are encouraging because it means it isn't really different this time, and we should expect another spike in silver price. You know, all that remains to be seen, I guess. Things are just going to have to play out, and we'll see where it all goes in 2023. One thing I'd bring up as a point of contention is this. With every spike, we've also seen silver go back to its norm. So you'll have to plot out future spikes around the time you plan on selling, I guess. Number 2, industrial demand is growing and solar demand will explode. Now, most of us are very aware that silver is primarily an industrial metal and that industry will ultimately decide where silver's value goes. Industrial demand is definitely increasing, but it's the solar demand that could inevitably send silver to the next level. Jeff brought out a chart that shows where the world currently stands in accordance with the goals of the PCA, or Paris Climate Accord. And here it is. We're currently, as the world turns, we're currently at 3% going solar, and the PCA goal is 40%. That 40% may be a little bit lofty, but it's still indicative of the direction it's going, meaning more use for silver as more panels are installed. Another point of contention for solar growth is that, word has it, China's already using double-sided solar panels, which means they can adjust the panels to capture both morning and afternoon sun. So it wouldn't be surprising to see this in the U.S. and other countries soon, all of which means more and more silver will be needed. And number 3, silver historically had a delayed reaction to inflation. Jeff and just about everybody else thought silver would react positively to spiking inflation, and he wanted to see why it wasn't. So he went back to the high inflation of the 70s and charted the CPI versus silver price. And if you see here, his chart shows that inflation began moving up earnestly again in 1977, but silver didn't begin its parabolic rise until almost 2 years later. In other words, silver had a delayed reaction the last time we had spiking inflation, pretty much like we're seeing now. He claims that it does show there's historical precedence for silver's delayed response to inflation today. We'll see, I guess, right? So there you have his 3 points. Now, in the meantime, we do need to watch the U.S. dollar since its strength or weakness has always been a big factor for both silver and gold. The eventual reversal, and let's face it, it's going to reverse at some point. The reversal in its quote-unquote strength will take away a big barrier for metal prices, and it could unleash a sudden spike. And Jeff closed out his piece by saying that while other analysts didn't like the silver price action, both history and fundamentals point to a coming surge in demand and price. Again, show me. And here's one more slide he shared at the symposium, and trust me, I'm only including this for entertainment purposes only. This what you see here is not what I believe, it's what these guys believe. So again, entertainment purposes. This is what analysts both in and outside of the industry predict silver will do in the near future. Rick Rule says in the next 5 years it trades north of $50. Mike Maloney, who has a channel here on YouTube, and to me seems like nothing but a shill for silver because he sells it. He says silver is the only morphing metal. It's about to transform from dirt cheap to unaffordium to unobtainium. Okay, Mike. Sure thing. Keith Neumeyer says triple-digit silver will only be in play once manufacturers realize they can't get the silver they need to make their products. Bank of America says $30 within a year. That's probably more realistic. Citigroup, $40 in 1 year, $50 to $100 in coming years. Don't know about that. Gehring and Rosenschwag, however the hell you say that, calls for $500 this decade. Good luck with that. Haraeus, as high as 32, maybe a little more reasonable. Chen Lin at chenpix.com says silver is the next lithium, 10 times in 1 year. And for those unfortunate souls who sell at $30 to $40, will regret it. All right. So there you have it. Some pretty bold predictions from Jeff Clark and other analysts. You know, in the end, it's nothing really different from what we've already known over the years, and that's pretty much that silver is a speculative metal that relies on industrial demand and a weak dollar to actually gain value. I mean, that doesn't ever really change, right? Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. And if you made it this far, kudos to you. I will definitely catch up with you in the next episode. But in the meantime, you know what's happening. Damn right. Get stacked. Stay safe and be well, everyone. I am out of here. Peace, people.